Welcome to our very first pop-up crop. It's all about love. I'm Catherine, and I have
And I'm
Kim
Kim.
with me.
Awesome.
And yes, there's her hand, which is okay. She had a couple minor technical difficulties, but she's set. We can see her project today, and it's gonna be fabulous, and we are going to love it. It's super cute. So, today we're going to start with my project. I am doing a Welsh loving spoon border, and I'm going to go ahead and get things switched over here. Give me just a moment. And one more. There we go. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about the Welsh loving spoon a second first. This is what a Welsh loving spoon is. I actually got mine in Wales. They're traditionally made of wood. They were made for over 300 years as part of their tradition, often made by sailors. So I found a little blurb on it on the internet. And the sailors would have time to whittle wood on their voyages and do these intricate designs. And they would give them as a gift to ladies to show a man's devotion. And sometimes they also represented a marriage proposal as well. I also have a handout that shows about some of the symbols within the Welsh loving spoon, what the chain means, what the little balls mean, what the heart means in mine. They also have diamonds and crosses and horseshoes and locks and all kinds of things. And I will link that in the description box below this video. And I will see if I can do that on Kim's channel as well. So that way everybody can have access to the link. But we're going to go ahead and get this project started. I am going to start with our smallest custom cutting system circle. And I'm going to cut it first on the inside with the blue blade, because you always want to cut furthest from the circle when you're going to use two blades. You don't want to move the circle, but still need to get the pegs into the track. So here's my red blade after the blue, because we're going to use this piece to represent the top chain or the top hanging part of our Welsh loving spoon. And then I also have the second smallest oval, and we're going to cut this one inside on the blue with the blue blade. And here we go. And then I'll show you what we're going to do with that in a moment here. I've also pre-punched a couple of parts here. I took my border measure system. I used my brocade chain border, and we're going to actually make our chain out of that coming up. And then you can see here, I used my piece by piece mini punch trio to punch the ball part that these represent. I have two kids, and the heart. And so I just needed this one punch from the set to do that. So here we go. Let me first finish cutting. Ooh, sorry about that. Double check my notes here a moment. We need to cut a 2-inch by 3/4 inch piece. So I'm going to go ahead and line up my paper at 2 inches here. I'm just going to take a couple inches off because I only need the 3/4 of an inch, and that's going to be one line to the right here. I'm going to line up my side of my trimmer. So here's the 2-inch by 3/4 inch. If you have a 12-inch trimmer, we have this line and ruler that runs along the side of the trimmer. And that's how I was able to do just that small piece really quickly. And then I also need a 1" by a 1/2" piece. So I'm gonna line up at 1". I'm gonna go where my line was, and I'm just gonna go up a little bit. I'm gonna turn it and get a 1/2". And the 1/2" is where the grid lines start on either side of the trimmer. Let's see if I can find my, here it is. There we go. Okay. So that is it for my piece of paper. And I forgot to tell you all, we're going to be working with the Serenity collection today. I chose this basket weave looking page to represent my Welsh loving spoon. It's the one that has the lavender seeds on the back of it. And then I have 2 sheets of our Fast to Fab inspired pages. And this is where we're going to be creating our border down one side of our page. All right. Let me double check my notes real quick. We are actually going to take this brocade chain piece. I'm going to grab my micro tip scissors. I'm going to line it up on my 13 by 13 cutting mat. And I'm going to cut it at 5 inches. And you can either pull it up and cut it, or you can just kind of create a line like I am. I cut almost all the way through it. There we go. So there's 1 5". I'm going to completely flip it and do the same thing. Again, I'm going to cut it at 5 inches. Here we go. All right. And then this extra little piece can be used on a card or another place on your page as an extra little design piece. And keep your scissors out because we are going to do a little bit of cutting here. I need a pencil. We're going to flip this over. So this was the small oval I cut with my oval and the blue blade. I'm going to line it up pretty much right at the 6 on my cutting mat because I need to mark the middle of it as well as the middle of my sides as well. So you can do this either with your 0 centering ruler or with your 13 by 13 mat because this is going to be the bottom of our spoon. And then also on our 2" by 3/4" square, we're going to create this to make our ball cage for our 2 little pieces I punched out from our mini punch trio. And flip over your paper, grab your 0 centering ruler for this one because it's a little bit easier. And we're going to trace one of our circles about 1/8 inch down. Since it's a 2" piece, we pretty much line up equally at the 1", but grab my small circle. Actually, I need to scoot this over. And the 1/8 inch is right there. Hang on. So you're just going to draw a little arc. Oops. As I'm moving my paper around on myself. But that helps get our circular shape. And, whoops. I guess if you go closer to the end of your mat, you can do it that way. It might be a little easier as well. Here's the 1/8 inch again. And here we go. And then you're just going to take your ruler and you're going to draw down. And mine, you can see, isn't exactly perfect, but you know what? You're making it by hand, And it's okay, that way people know that they are handmade. So I'm coming in just a little bit here. My paper isn't straight. There we go. And if anybody has any questions on any of this, you're more than welcome to type a question into the box from this live stream, and we can see those, and Kim can let me know. Here we go.
Absolutely.
She's still here. Just because you can't see her doesn't mean she's not here. All right.
I'm still here watching every move.
I am glad. It's nice to have a friend. Okay. So now you can see my marks on my oval. Let me hold it up a little bit closer here. You can see I have the one at the bottom and the two along the sides. And we are going to cut it to represent our spoon shape. So this bottom part you can see kind of has almost a rounded point to it. And then the top part represents that oval. So I'm just going to cut and go
Reminds me of the point of a heart.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Slightly rounded.
Yep.
Okay. So, and you can look at it, and if it looks a little bit too straight, which mine kind of does, I'm going to round it out just a little bit. It's paper. It's one of the nicest things about paper is you can always fix it. There we go. And I'm going to round the end just a hair also. Okay. There we go. So that's now going to be the bottom of my spoon, and it'll show up a little better once I get it on the paper. But we're also going to cut out our ball cage, essentially is what I'm calling it, for our little balls. But you want
for your children, the cage for your children. Ha ha ha.
Mm-hmm. Yep, if you ever want to put them in the cage. Okay, I need to actually go in a little bit from my lines because you want the ends of your dot. Here we go. Well, this is okay. You can tell it's been a little bit since I've done this actual project. I should have done this before when I had the ruler, but that's okay. We're just going to wing it a little bit. And it is all right because, like I said, it's paper.
Yep.
I don't know if I've ever wanted to cage up my kids.
I know.
Cage yours up, Kim?
Well, I don't know. I had 4 of them, so I had twice as many as you. And when they're all running around, it gets a little crazy.
I'm sure it can get chaotic. Yeah. When mine were younger, it would get a little chaotic too, but they're pretty good kids. All right. So there we go. And that other little piece of scrap. Oh, not too bad. My top needs to be rounded a little bit more. There we go. Okay. Let me double check my punched out piece. Ah, good. Okay. So we'll see that again in a moment. And then we also need to, since I did the inside part, flip it back over. And, oh, you know what? Corner rounder. I knew there was a reason I had pulled this out.
Yep.
So we're going to round this on your corner rounder. Make Perfect. Your life easy. You could cut it by hand as well if you want. I don't know if I'm that good though. Oops, come on. There we go. I'm going to take my scissors. I've got just a little piece to cut off. Come here. There we go. And then you just, there we go. We've got our ball cage.
Cool.
Okay. Now it's time to put together our border. We have all our pieces, believe it or not. Here we go. And so I do have both pages, but we're just going to do this on one side. If you want to do a second one to put on the other side, you can. We'll start with our top ring here. Oh, and I'm going to pull out my parchment board. If y'all haven't seen my parchment board before, it's a sturdy piece of cardboard with electrical tape holding on my parchment. It just makes a nice non-stick, clean surface to work with the repositionable tape runner. Okay. So, and my actual border is going to be about the size of my actual Welsh loving spoon. So I'm going to start at the top here. And then we need our chain. And when layering this, oops, mine is already tangled a little bit. Get this undone here. We're going to put one piece down first, and then we're going to layer the other piece on top of it going the opposite direction to create the chain. You can kind of see how this one's going up the one direction and the other one's coming down the opposite direction, which is how we're creating our chain look for our spoon. Okay. And that's going to go here.
Are you tucking that under the circle at the top or just nesting it right next to it?
I was going to nest it right next to it, but I think I might put it under just a little. So I'm going to grab out my multi-purpose tool, and there we go. Put this under just a hair. Of course, this just went down on my page. Sometimes it's a little tricky. Here we go. So that one's under. I'm going to have to get the second side under too. That's coming down nicely there. Okay, that's stuck down. Put my tape on my second one. I love this punch. It's just so pretty.
And it is really pretty. I like it too.
So versatile. Okay, this needs to go over a little bit. Somehow my swirl swirled over. There we go. And now we're going to get this one up and under two, I think. There we go. And you just work with it a little bit and get it to swirl on top of the one below it, where these little dots almost match up. The ball part of the brocade, I guess. There we go. Needed to bring mine over just a little bit. Okay, and now my circle can go back down. There we go. So it looks like a Jane. It's got a nice swirl to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll go ahead and pull this up just a little too for our box. But first, we also need our heart and our little balls that I punched earlier. So put tape on those. Ooh, these are so small. A lot of times I use the precision point adhesive with those. So it's another option to do. My heart's going to go on upside down just because that's how it is in my spoon. But of course, you can always put it right side up too if you want. Or if you're creating a different...
Do you remember what it means for it to be upside down?
I actually don't, because heart, according to the little sheet I found, says it's one of the most common patterns. The heart signifies that the girl or boy has taken hold of the young man or woman's heart. Two hearts on the same spoon mean the love is reciprocated. So I think when I was shopping, I looked for one with two hearts. Actually, I have a second heart because when I punched the two balls, I got two hearts. So let's put a second heart on.
I think that works. It's
my love is reciprocated.
Yeah.
For my husband. So let's do that. We'll do it this way. Oops. I think we're going to do it this way. Come here. small pieces.
Yeah, they're tiny.
Okay. There we go. Okay. And then our ball cage is going to run right around here. And I need to get the balls inside of it. So let's line it up. 1 and 2. And I'm going to space them out just a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch apart. I need to scoot them over to the right just a little. Here we go. And the multi-purpose tool is just so handy. I love this thing. There we go. All right, so there's our balls in our cage. And now we need our piece that we cut. That was the 1 inch by the 1/2 inch to represent this part coming down from the spoon or from the ball cage. Give that little extra separation here. Lift this up just a little since we're putting everything under a little. Yep. It's working out nicely. And I think our spoon actually is going to go over the top of this. Okay.
That works.
Yep. Here we go.
I don't remember what you said, but I assume that you have Welsh ancestry, and that's where you got this.
A little bit, but we went there for a visit when we lived in Germany, and it's one of those things. I actually, my mom and my grandmother had one when I was growing up, so I grew up with them hanging on the wall in my house, and
That's
I
cool.
had to have one for myself once I had kids.
Yeah, that's neat.
So there we go. There's the close up of our Welsh loving spoon, and it has a little movement to it because, of course, I don't have
You
a
move
quite
around.
exact straight line, but
Yeah.
okay, it doesn't hang exactly straight on the wall either. But now you can take your pages, add your pictures, put another loving spoon if you want, use some of the Serenity embellishments. We could actually even put this up over here if you want, or just create another brocade chain coming down this side of the page as well. Or you could do a series going across. So however you want to finish up your pages, you can, but there's plenty of space for your pictures.
Very, very nice. That looks great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let me take myself off. I'm going to get you on again a little bit, Kim, because it's going to be time for your project, and I need to switch my stuff over. Okay. Oops. All right. So now we're going to go into Kim's project. I hope you all enjoyed the Welsh loving spoon. Here we go with Kim.
All right. So
Okay.
I'm using an 8x8, 8x8 pages today. And these are using, let me see, let me grab these, just the top 3 here. So these are the Spargo pages. That's why it doesn't look white. It doesn't look brown. It's got kind of a mottled effect because they have kind of a marbling to them. And I have created a layout using a technique that I saw Noreen Smith demonstrate in a series that she did during December. And I just thought it would be fun to create a Valentine's page and to create a custom page using the heart shape. And so I'm going to teach you today how to create this heart shape and how to do the ruffle around it, and then make the matching heart for either side so that you have a heart that flips in between the 2 pages, right? Because our hearts flip for Valentine's Day.
Yay.
So let me grab my my other pages here, and I will show you. We'll get going on how to build this heart. So let me just set this to the side, and we'll grab these things. So you are going to need the largest oval in the custom cutting system and your red blade. And I used the new Love Letters punch and the circle punch to make those cute embellishments that went around the edges. But we'll get to those in a little bit. I just set that up there. And that is our ribbon, which we'll get to in a second. Let me get to how to make the oval that goes in the middle, the oval page, because that is going to be, excuse me, probably the trickiest part for this. And I went ahead and created mine on this page already so that I could just go ahead and cut that out easily. And I made a stencil. But let me show you how I did that, okay? So when you line up your blank page, if you have a mat, you saw Catherine using the 13 by 13 self-healing mat that CM has. If you have that, great. I work on a quilting mat, which is also self-healing, and that works great as well. Anything that's going to give you a grid so that you can make sure your page is straight and be able to have a measurement is going to be super. So if I line my page up on my grid so that it's perfectly straight or as straight as possible. Then I take my oval and I place it slightly off the edge over here and down from the top. So exact measurements would look something like this. It's about 3/4 of an inch from the top edge here. It's about an inch off the left-hand side over here beyond the jeeping, about an inch from where the page actually starts. So when you line your page up on your grid, make sure that you're lining it up with the actual page and not the jeeping. So
good
the
tip.
edge of the page, right? The edge of the page goes at your inch mark, and then the edge of your oval would go on the 1 inch mark out here. And then as you line that up, excuse me, you know you have the right angle. If you have a 1/4 inch up here from the top, this is touching the 1 inch mark on your grid off the page over here. And this page, or the bottom edge of your oval, is about 1 1/4 inches from the bottom of your page. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Then what I would do is just grab your pencil and trace the outer part of your oval. Just go all the way to the jeeping at the bottom, even though you're not going to cut that part. Go all the way around your oval, and you'll end up with the right lobe, the right shape for the lobe of your heart. When you get down here to the bottom, what you're going to want to do is about 1 1/4 inches in from the jeeping. You're going to want to just draw a line from your oval to about 3/4 of an inch up from the bottom here, so that you get that more straight point at the bottom. Okay. Then you're going to want to grab your scissors. You can use whatever scissors work best for you. Cut along the jeeping here to the base of your heart. So don't cut the jeeping off. You want these hinges to stay attached so that you can adhere install your page into your album. And then you're just going to cut along that outline. And if you're careful, then you end up with a really nice stencil that you can use later. I'll show you how you're going to you might need that a little bit later. So you just go ahead. I'm almost done. This is the most tedious part. Everything else I have pre-cut, but I wanted to be able to show you how to cut this because it's essential to the design. So
right, that's my whole project is tedious,
right?
But I loved it.
It's a very cool spoon.
Yeah,
very, very cool.
So this doesn't seem overly tedious. This seems doable.
Awesome. Okay, so once you have this, the rest of your page, this is actually, something you can keep in your files as for a reference or whatever, but you're not going to use this the rest of this page.
Free cards got scrap. Free
That's
scrap.
right. Free scrap. You can cut it and make journal boxes out of it, or, I don't know, do something like that. Make sure you erase any pencil marks that you happen to see around your edge, although they're going to get covered, so it's probably not essential that you get rid of them. I don't like to see them, so I get rid of them.
The detail, it's good.
Right. Okay, so now we have our heart shape for our lobe page. And we're going to create the ribbons that are going to go around it. So if you have the decorative trimmer, that's what I used to do this, the CM decorative trimmer. It looks like this. And you're going to use the wavy edge right here. I placed my paper so that it's centered. If you know anything about this particular trimmer, you know that it's slightly offset to one side or the other. If you want something centered, you have to move it in one notch on the grid. There are grid lines imprinted on this trimmer. And so if you just center your paper inside so that you have one grid line out here and one grid line at the right and the left, or the top and the bottom, however you have your paper, then your paper will be centered. And I just go ahead and put an edge on my paper using the trimmer. So get your wavy edge on there, and then and do that with two different pieces. You're going to need a fairly so there's not a lot of diversity between the two papers that I use here, and it does look better, I think, when you have a little bit more fluctuation in tone, I guess is the way to put it. So you can see on here, I've got a darker edge on this one, and it contrasts really well with the shorter piece. But, it is up to you. Choose what you like. And the Serenity collection has beautiful, beautiful papers, but they're all very muted, so they blend really, really well together. So that's what you're going to see today. My ribbon is going to blend a lot because I used a white edge to try to emphasize that, and we'll see how it looks. But
looks good.
You're going to layer these together with about 1/8 of an inch of your alternate color showing at the top. And after you adhere them together, then you're going to cut them. And let me just verify the measurement because so it's 1 inch from the swell on your ruffle to where you're going to cut. So you have a 1 inch strip with the curve on the side. Okay. After you have, in order to do all of our ruffles that we're going to need, you're going to need at least 4. And actually now that's starting to sound like it's not quite enough, because I think you use 1.5 on each curve. Well, we'll see.
Yep, try it.
Yeah, we'll try it. Anyway, grab your trimmer. You're going to need now your trimmer and your scoring blade. So if you have a scoring blade, grab that. If you don't, then if you have the ability to score, maybe using some other means, maybe you can use your all-purpose tool and the groove in this trimmer. Maybe you could score with. It'll be a little bit difficult because this is scoring through 2 layers of paper, but we're going to create these ruffles, and I'll show you how to do that real quick. So just taking out my straight blade and putting the scoring blade in. You're going to take each of these pieces that you've now adhered together, and we're going to score them. And let's see, I'm going to do it backwards so you can see it better, because normally I use the lower end of my trimmer, but it's not going to be on the screen, so that's not going to help you. All right, so I would go ahead and put this end at 1 inch. the 1-inch mark over here on the side, and you're going to score it there. You're going to have to push significantly hard because you're going through 2 different layers, as I said before. Now, before you move it, let me just point out, the 1/4 inch mark on this trimmer is the very edge of your cutting mat. So the edge of this gray strip is 1/4 of an inch. So that's what we're going to do. You're going to pick up your ribbon and move that scoring line that you just placed to the 1/4 inch mark. And then you're going to score it again. Okay. Then you're going to pick that up and move that scoring line to the 1-inch mark. Depending on how light your paper is, it can be really difficult to see. And you're just going to keep moving it over. So 1 inch and then 1/4 inch and then 1 inch and then 1/4 inch. My housing keeps opening. Does yours do that? Mine has a hard time locking down. I don't know why.
Huh. My white trimmer did that a little bit, but my blue one has been really nice. My white one also squeaked a little bit, but my blue one hasn't.
Huh.
Yep.
It's kind of been the opposite for me. My
Yeah.
white one doesn't squeak, and my housing cover locks down really nicely. But my blue one squeaks, as you can tell. And my housing cover just kind of pops up every now and then, just, to say hello.
Yep.
Okay.
That's okay. It happens. It's not unusual, but
yep.
Yeah.
Still my favorite tool. I wouldn't give up my trimmer for anything.
Absolutely. I love mine too.
All right. We're almost to the end, guys. Here we go. We're just a couple more and we're done. It does take a while when you have to do this for all of the pieces, because you're putting a ruffle on more than just that piece, that page that flip-flops back and forth. But for the intent of this video, I'm only showing you how to do one, just so we can move on to other things.
That's part of being live.
That's right.
When you record it, you can speed it up for the video. But live, you just got to move on.
So I don't know if you can see that. It's really, really hard to see those markings on there. But we're going to just go ahead and gently fold. And you're going to fold and pleat it, essentially. So if you have anything at home that's pleated, not many of us have clothing that has pleats in it anymore. But when I was growing up, we had lots of stuff that was pleated. So you're just going to make these cute little pleats in your ribbon. And your scoring makes it so much easier to do this. You could probably do this without scoring your paper, but it would be it would certainly be more tedious. And I know for myself, if I didn't have the scoring, my pleats would be all over the place.
It's not as precise.
Not as tidy, yeah, as these, for sure. So here we go. All right, so as you can see on my other samples I have here, I've just pleated them. I haven't glued them down or anything like that, because we're going to add them to our page, and then we're going to add some more paper. So let me just review that with you really quick. So I have these pieces over here. I have 4 lobes. The reason I have 4 is because you're going to do a front and a back of the one that we cut. And then you want one for either side of your whole page that goes on the back. So for now, we're only going to need those 2.
Which paper from Serenity did you use, Kim?
This is the green paper with the flowers on the back.
Okay, nice.
And I chose green just because it kind of anchors everything better. I felt like, I don't know. It's,
Mhm.
you can use whichever paper makes you happy.
Right.
Actually, now that I think about it, maybe I was using this one because it's got more. Yeah, you know what? I think I would use the flowers instead.
Yeah, looks great. Either way, whichever
Yeah,
way you
let's
pick.
use the flowers. They're more. They remind me a little bit more of Valentine's than just the green. So we'll do that.
Okay.
All right. And they're cut exactly the same, so it doesn't really matter. You can flip them over if you want.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to use my repositionable adhesive, and I'm going to add this just to, let me see, how did I do this? I think probably the easiest way to do it is to add this around the edge of your heart.
Do you put the designer paper down first?
Nope, it's going to cover the top.
Oh.
So we're going to make sure you have your ruffle edge up, and we're going to place this starting in the center so that your edge doesn't go over the jeeping. You don't want to create more issues for yourself. And you're just going to carefully set it down. As you go around these edges up here at the top, especially, you kind of have to play with your paper, and you may have to kind of mush it just a little bit and not follow your carefully laid pleat that we just made. All right.
Yep.
Because when you go around a curve, it kind of just complicates things. But as you kind of adhere it to your page and help it turn, you can kind of just sort of alter. Can you see how I just sort of smushed? Oops, how I just sort of smushed that pleat down just a little bit.
Yes.
A little bit differently. That's what I mean by altering it.
Okay.
So that it kind of follows the curve a little bit better. Okay. And then I'm going to grab a second one, and I'm going to just sort of lay that on there. I'm going to add a little bit of extra adhesive actually to add this second one. And keep following your edge around. Curve it when you feel it's necessary. And keep on going until you get down here to the bottom. And when you get down here to the bottom, you're just going to take your precision scissors and trim that, and even with the jeeping. Okay, so it's straight.
Right.
A little bit off, but close. There, that's better. All right, now I'm going to have to add a little bit of adhesive down here because I ended on a pleat, so that kind of complicates things a little too. But it's not too bad.
Okay.
So just to get that stuck down. Okay, now what you're going to do is put your repositionable adhesive all the way around your heart, around the edge. Don't skimp because you want it to kind of seal over the pleats.
That makes sense.
And so you just line it up with the straight edge at the jeeping over here, and then just follow, go with your pleats. Otherwise, you're going to fight yourself as you go around. And glue that.
No fighting and scrapbooking.
No fighting and scrapbooking, right? This is Valentine's Day. We want all nothing but love, right?
Absolutely. It's all about the love.
All about the love. Okay, so once you have this page done, or this side done, you can flip it over and then just go ahead and adhere this piece to the back.
Ah.
Okay, your ruffle is going to look a little bit different because you can only see the one side of it. So if that bothers you, just make another ruffle and adhere that on. It'll be a little bit thicker, but I found that it didn't really bug me that much, so I just left it.
Right.
So this other piece goes right on here to cover up your Spargo. All right, so then that page is done. Then we're going to grab our other two blank pages.
Okay.
And we're going to, so I think what I did here is I adhered the ruffle to these other lobes and then adhered them to the page.
All right.
So that's what we're going to do. Let me just move a couple things here. Probably don't need those just yet. I jumped the gun. And I think I may need more ruffles. I don't know why I was thinking that I didn't quite need that many.
It's okay. Maybe just go with what you have for today and let people know they can add the other one later, since we're already getting on towards an hour here.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and add the ruffle around this one. This will be on the front page. And you just kind of do this one a little bit backwards because you're working on the back of the paper instead of the front of the paper. Does that make sense? Just sort of gather and mush. Very technical terminology we use in scrapbooking these days.
I was thinking the same thing.
Mush. Okay. Crazy, huh?
Okay. So maybe put that other ruffle on your other heart. No, you're going to finish that one.
No, okay. I'm going to finish this one and just show you what the main page looks like.
Okay, makes sense.
Then they can redo or do the second page as they like.
Yep.
Okay. So this one I'm just going to cut even with my flower paper. And then I can grab this and we'll add some adhesive. If you use permanent adhesive on this part, it probably would be easier, just because it will hold better with the heavy ribbon or the heavy ruffle. But
we also have those adhesive dots coming in our adhesive promo today.
Great. Yeah, that would be great.
Those are really strong, and I think that would hold really well with the ruffle.
So put the point of your heart at about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom down here. Right. And that will allow for the ruffle up here at the top.
And it'll also match what we did on the cutout page.
Yes. So then your cutout page would go right here. And then you'll have a page that looks just like this, only the opposite on the back. And we've got these hearts, or these embellishments were made by using the love punch and the circle punch, the love letters punch and the circle punch. And I just centered it on there. And if you put a foam square on the back, that's what I did with my sample here to lift these off the page. Some of them. This one is flush on the page, but the others are lifted up with foam squares. And that just gives it a little bit of an extra dynamic, since you have a little bit of what's the word for that? My brain is having a hard time today.
It's pretty.
Definition, maybe depth. Depth. I think
yes.
So then you have this. This one has this page that will go in between, and then this page will go on top of it. And if you're wondering how in the world you'll make photos fit on this, I just thought I would share with you Remember how I said you can use your template for something else? You can use this to make sure that you've cut your photos so that they fit your shape. And so you could put a square photo on there. You could put, whatever size makes you happy, or you can cut your photos so that they actually just match your shape. And yes, it does cover the paper.
Yep.
But it allows you to maximize your space for your pictures, and that's what this is all about for me.
Right.
So
what a great idea.
That's what I chose to do with those pages.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I think I've made a significant mess, and I'm done.
Okay.
How's that?
That's great. So cute.
So, you would add these kind of as liberally or not liberally as you want around the corners of your paper or of your pages. And then you can journal in this area if you want to, or you could journal on the other side of the heart, whatever makes you happy.
Nice.
Right?
Yes. That was fun. All right. Put myself back in here. I thought when you said you were done, and then
oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm done. I really am.
It's okay. It's our first time. We'll get it. So we had a quiet group with us, but thank you all so much for joining us who came and watched our projects today. I saw we had quite a few viewers that joined us.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Well, I hope that they have a happy Valentine's Day.
Yes.
And create these wonderful projects, because I love your loving spoon. That was super cute.
Oh, thank you. Absolutely. I hope they give them a try. Keep an eye on our community tabs for the next pop-up crop. We might have one coming sooner than you think. So keep on checking out for another one. This was so much fun, and I'm so glad we're going to do this again, Kim.
Yep. Next time.
Until next time.
Thanks, Catherine. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.